Did Eagles general manager Howie Roseman and the Birds find two more hidden gems for this roster? We're talking about that here on today's edition of Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr. I hope all of you out there are having a fantastic Wednesday. And speaking of today being Wednesday, the specific date, June 18th. So I want to plug this once again because I promised the bosses that we would pick up more subscribers here on Eagles Now in the month of June than we did in the month of May. You see the figures here to my right. In May, 1,132 new people hit that subscribe button here on the channel. Subs so far in June, we are right there. And we can really pick up a lot of steam if we just have a lot of people hit that subscribe button right now. Lock us in. It's the most informative, entertaining, insightful Eagles show right here on YouTube. I always try to be thought-provoking and involve all of you. So join the movement, subscribe to the channel. I promise you, you won't regret that decision. So let's begin with the first potential hidden gem that the Eagles could have picked up for nothing on this Eagles roster. And it's Danny Gray, the wide receiver, who the Eagles scooped up last year for nothing. And he could end up being a surprising player who cracks the 53-man roster. And I think he's intriguing for a couple of reasons. Came into the league with draft pedigree, taken in the third round by the San Francisco 49ers out of SMU in 2022. For how quick he is, 4.33 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine prior to the draft, he has some solid size, 6 feet, 186 pounds. Oftentimes when you see a burner like this, a Deshaun Jackson, a Tez Johnson, you kind of get the idea, a John Ross. Those players aren't really that big in stature because that helps them move as quickly and as fluidly as they do. And so Danny Gray has had to deal with some injuries so far throughout his NFL career, but the speed component to his game is very intriguing. While at SMU, he wasn't just a vertical guy who simply ran vertical routes and that was it. He had some combinations to his route tree, and he worked all three levels with SMU. Some out routes, some crossers, some post routes, and of course the long ball where he could slip past the defense and get by that third level. He does need to get a little bit stronger. He has had some drop issues as well throughout training camp and in the preseason with San Francisco, but he can sink into some soft spots in his own defense. He is a long and fluid strider. He's pretty solid with picking up yards after the catch. He does have a below-average wingspan, but does have returnability on special teams. So this is a player who the Eagles potentially could use in a variety of ways to complement A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jahan Dotson. What was his issue with the 49ers? Well, Kyle Shanahan played wide receiver at Texas. That has been his specialty. And historically, he has been very hard on young wide receivers. So Shanahan never really trusted Danny Gray. I thought it was a little bit of a reach for the Niners to maybe take him in that third round, although I really liked the pick at the time. But Shanahan never trusted him. Danny Gray got hurt a lot. He had some drops, and so far in his NFL career, only one catch for 10 yards. But sometimes it takes players a little while to develop. Sometimes they don't work out with one organization. They go to a better organization, and they do end up working out. And throughout the spring, Danny Gray, time and time again, kept making plays. Throughout OTAs, throughout mandatory minicamp, he was one of the go-to guys for that second-string offense. And wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 going into 2025, it is not set in stone. I think a vertical threat for this Eagles offense would be really interesting. It opens up opportunities for others underneath, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and the threat of a vertical threat, an option, opens up the run game for Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. And Jalen Hurts, since coming into the league, has been one of the best, most accurate deep ball throwers in the NFL. That's what makes Danny Gray, the former third-round pick, a very interesting hidden gem option for Philadelphia at a very affordable price. And it is not set in stone that Aniyah Smith and Johnny Wilson are going to make the 53. I know that they were drafted in the 2024 NFL draft by Philadelphia, but if they fail to continue to develop, don't develop at all, or don't perform well throughout training camp and in the preseason, what are the reasons? And why does it make sense for them to make the roster over players they might not be better than? And Danny Gray and the next player who we're about to talk about could simply be better, more explosive, more viable options for Howie Roseman and this Eagles team come 53-man roster cutdown day. So I want to see what Danny Gray looks like when the pads come on. When you're not wearing pads, you're going through 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s without hitting. That's when a guy with 4.3 speed can really impress. But once he gets pressed at the line of scrimmage with some press man, once he gets chipped from the line of scrimmage, as he tries to get into his route, once he takes a few hits, how does he look? But so far throughout the spring, he was one of those players who was turning heads. That is one hidden gem who we're talking about on today's show. We still have to get to another hidden gem, so stay tuned for that. But I do want to plug this and tell you about this fantastic deal thanks to our friends at Fanatics. These Eagles Super Bowl hats, you've seen myself and Chip wear them here on the show throughout the Eagles Super Bowl parade, which we were at. They're on sale for just $17. These are the same hats, new era, that Eagles players were wearing after they won Super Bowl 59 over Kansas City. There are adult sizes available and kids sizes available. All you have to do is use that link down below, chatsports.com/Super Bowl hat. Fantastic sale, limited time only. You don't want to miss it, so get hooked up and get swagged up today. First, it was Danny Gray. Next player who we're going to talk about happens to be another wide receiver, and that's Terrace Marshall. Terrace Marshall, like Danny Gray, was a high draft pick. Marshall even higher than Danny Gray. Second-round selection in the 2021 NFL Draft by the Carolina Panthers, 59th overall. And he was with Carolina for 3 years. He tried to request a trade, and then the Panthers ended up just outright cutting him. And after he was with Carolina, signed on with the Niners, he was just on their practice squad. Never appeared in a game, and then he was with the Las Vegas Raiders last year in 2024. Didn't really do much, as he wasn't featured much in that offense. Now he's with Philadelphia. He signed with the Eagles back a couple of months ago. I remember being in New Orleans at the time for Matthew Peterson's bachelor party, who is our Browns host and used to host our Falcons show as well. And I had said it, look, Terrace Marshall's an intriguing player. 6'2", 200 pounds, 4.4 speed. When he was at LSU, he was a really terrific player. And he was a part of that national championship winning team in 2019, which could go down as one of the best, if not the best college teams of all time. That was when Joe Burrow won the Heisman Trophy. Joe Burrow had one of the best seasons for a college quarterback in the history of college football. And Terrace Marshall that year in 2019, 46 catches, 671 yards, 13 touchdowns that year in a loaded wide receiver room. Prior to that, he did play 13 games in 2018, but only had 12 grabs for 192 yards. And then as we know in 2020 under Ed Orgeron, yeah, what's up, go Tigers, Terrace Marshall only played 7 games. And it was a disappointing season for him because it was cut short, and for LSU because they failed to have a good year after winning that title. But look at the numbers in just 7 games for Terrace Marshall. 48 catches, 731 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Again, in 7 games. And when he went to Baton Rouge, he was one of the most highly touted recruits in the entire country. 10th best recruit in the nation, according to ESPN. 5-star guy, scout grade of 91, second-ranked player at his position, 7th in the region, number 1 player in the state of Louisiana. But at the NFL level, it just hasn't worked out. And I think part of that, he went to a bad organization with Carolina, bad quarterback play. He was kind of disgruntled there, was never able to find his groove. He wanted to get dealt. He didn't get dealt, But he did have an opportunity to sign with another team. Didn't work out with the Niners. Didn't do anything with the Las Vegas Raiders. His best year after a rookie year in which he played 13 games, 30 targets, 17 grabs, 138 yards, did come in 2022. 28 catches, 490 yards, 1 touchdown. Up to this point, only 1 touchdown in his career. Just hasn't panned out for him the way that a lot of people thought he was going to pan out when he was the top overall player in the state of Louisiana coming out of high school and one of the top recruits in the country. Last year with the Raiders, they didn't have a good receiving core, and he wasn't able to see the field. 7 games played, 3 catches, 41 yards. But he's another player who, like Danny Gray, was making a lot of plays in the spring, running a variety of routes, going up to get it, and he, too, has intriguing athleticism, 4.4 speed. So he can run like Danny Gray, but he has more size than Danny Gray. 6'2", 200 pounds. So in my 53-man roster projection that I put out a little bit earlier this week, I went with Danny Gray and Terrace Marshall over Anaya Smith and Johnny Wilson. That is an under-the-radar training camp battle that I will be keeping my eyes on, that you should be keeping tabs on as well. And potentially Marshall and Gray could be 2 hidden gems for this Philadelphia Eagles roster going into 2025. So I'll leave you with this. Answer this question down in the comment section. Will Gray and Marshall beat out Anaya Smith and Johnny Wilson? Why for yes and for no.